Hey, this is the C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for UFC Fight Night 62, Maia versus LaFlare, which happens on March 21st. Overall, prospect-wise, it's not too bad, actually. Yeah, Christos, Giagos, not bad prospect. Mafra, Kevin Souza, not bad prospect. Fili's a good prospect. Gilbert Burns, blue chip prospect. Erick Silva, the guy that's all about potential. It's hard to really call him a prospect at this point, but he's still very good. LaFlare, very good fighter himself. Same with Demian Maia. So, while name value wise, yeah, you probably never heard of half these guys. There's actually some decent prospects here. A couple of just like lower tier, mid-level guys, you know, like Trinaldo, Arreola, and they're not really prospects at this point. They're just like mid to lower tier guys and whatnot. You know what? Let's just get started. Okay, so in the main event, we have LaFlare versus Demian Maia. This will be on Fox Sports 1. LaFlare has an 11-0 undefeated record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He's 31 years old, trains out of Black Zillions and Long Island MMA. He is big for 170. He's a very workman-like fighter. He's one of 170 has a lot of these like blue-collar fighters. You know, they got like Court McGee, Mike Pierce, Kenny Robertson, George Sullivan. Just these guys that are really tough, very workmanlike, not particularly flashy, but very effective. LaFlare has good wrestling, especially from the body lock takedowns. Good ground and pound. He's always working. His takedown defense is solid. His stand-up is solid. It's pretty high output too, and his cardio is not too bad. And this should be 5 rounds, so that should play a factor here. Demian Maia, 19-6 record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 9 wins by sub. He's 37 years old. He is one of the top Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in the world. He has really strong clinch takedowns as well. He's real relentless about getting his takedowns. His guard passing is really strong. His overall transitions are really good. He's got some really strong back control. His boxing is improving. It's not great or anything like that, but it's effective. His cardio, though, a bit questionable. You saw in like the Rory McDonald fight, he was gassing pretty bad. He's just getting older too. You know, there's definitely an avenue for Demian Maia to win. If the fight hits the ground, he's on top. He can get dominant position and get the submission. I'm actually going to go with LaFlare in this one, though. I think he in the sense that I think he can just outwork Demian Maia to stand up. It really depends if he can defend Maia's takedowns, because, man, Maia's got some really underrated takedowns. I mean, this guy takes wrestlers down, you know? Guys like Fitch, he was just taking them down with ease. You know, he can, it's really, like I said, really underrated takedown game. LaFlare, though, he's a good, like I said, he's a good wrestler himself. His takedown defense is solid. The times I have seen him get taken down, he just popped back to his feet. And he's just, he works this really tough pace that I don't know if Maia can keep up with, especially if it goes to the later rounds. You know, LaFlare's always working. Maia, you know, he has shown to slow down as the fight goes on and on. Maia's definitely got more experience. Definitely has, you know, really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, he can finish it at the ground. It's definitely not impossible. I'm gonna go with LaFlare. Like I said, I just think he's gonna have a very workmanlike effort here. High output, strong pace, slowly but surely wear down Demian Maia for the win. He's gonna wear down Demian Maia. So Ryan LaFlare for the win here. Next fight after that, Gilbert Burns fights Alex Oliveira. Oliveira has a 10-1 record with 1 draw and 1 no contest, 8 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. He's on a 3-fight win streak, training out of Tata Fight Team with the likes of Thiago Moreta Santos. He is taking the fight on short notice, and it will be his first fight in the UFC. So what I've seen from him, he's tall and lanky, and he uses that for certain things. His Muay Thai is good. He has a really good clinch uppercut game. You get the single collar tie and just start unloading with uppercuts. He also uses length for good punches for ground and pound in the fight I saw. One of his problems, though, he does get pretty reckless in the stand-up. Gilbert Burns, 9-0 undefeated record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by sub. 28 years old, training out of the Black Zillions. He is also a top Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. His kickboxing is greatly improving. You can watch his fight against, I believe it was Andreas Stahl, right? He showed some really good stand-up there. Most recently beat Christos Giagos by an armbar. Really crafty stuff. He's actually a pretty good wrestler as well. I gotta go with Gilbert Burns here. I think of Gilbert Burns as a blue chip prospect. You can definitely see his stand-up improving under like Henry Hooft and the Black Zillions, and then he always has that next level ground game to work with. So Gilbert Burns for the win here. Next fight after that, Erick Silva fights Josh Koscheck. Koscheck has a 17-9 record, 5 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by sub. As has 3 losses by KO or TKO and 2 losses by submission. He's 37 years old on a 4-fight losing streak, most recently losing to Jake Ellenberger by a north-south choke that caused him to start foaming at the mouth. Trains out of Dethrone Base Camp with the likes of Chris Honeycutt. He's taking this fight on short notice. Erick Silva was originally supposed to fight Ben Saunders. Actually, in the last fight, Gilbert Burns was supposed to fight Josh Thompson. But the thing with Koscheck, he's still, despite his age, he still has really strong wrestling. He still has one of the best double leg takedowns in MMA. I mean, he does not complete it against the cage. Does it more in the center. Starts in the center of the cage, and more. It looks like a spear tackle that ends up where the guy's head is like against the cage, but he doesn't officially, and he doesn't like push him against the cage and then with his back against the cage like works a takedown. He completes the takedown before his opponent's back hits the cage. His takedown defense is solid, his top control is good, his ground and pound is good. Striking is just average. I mean, mainly he has a strong right hand. The problems with Koscheck would be his chin looks to be deteriorating. He reacts badly to getting hit. You can actually see him, like, he'll get hit in the eye, and he's always, like, touching his eye, You saw it in the Koscheck fight. Even saw him against, like, Matt Hughes, You can tell he's very, very, cautious about getting hit there. One other thing to note about this fight, this is actually, from what I heard, it's going to be his last fight on his UFC contract, and Koscheck said he's going to retire once his contract is done with. So I think he's saying the final short notice, last fight on his contract, might at the very least might work into his mental game. Negatively or positively, it's tough to say. Erick Silva, 17-5 record with 1 no contest, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 10 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO. He's 30 years old, training out of Team Noguera and X Gym. He is trading wins and losses right now. He has yet to get a win streak going on in the UFC, actually. He is coming off a win, though. Over Mike Rhodes. He is a legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Really aggressive, pushes forward. His wrestling's actually not too bad offensively. Stand-up's not too bad, but he does get reckless. And his cardio is relatively weak. I gotta go with Erick Silva to win this one. I think he can put a hurting on Josh Koscheck early on. you know, possibly drop him, but I think definitely the problem with Koscheck is like once he gets hit, he gets kind of afraid to pull the trigger as well. Doesn't help he's on a 4-fight losing streak. It's the last fight on his contract, so I don't know if he's just looking for the final paycheck or if he wants to come out in like a blaze of glory and really fight for the win. Not going through a full training camp and taking the fight on 2 weeks' notice. I mean, he last fought, you know, Ellenberger very recently. So, I mean, he's coming off of that camp. Don't know if it's going to help him or hurt him in this case. It's tough to say. I'm more inclined to believe that might hurt him. So I'm going to go with Erick Silva for the win here. Once again, the problems with Erick Silva are himself. You know, I mean, this is a guy that wins fights and then loses them. Dong Hyun Kim, defending his takedowns, doing relatively well in the stand-up, then he gets knocked out cold. Looked good against John Fitch, and then he just gasses out, and Fitch just beats him up, takes him down, beats him up. You know, that's the thing with Erick Silva. He just, he even did well against Matt Brown. That first round was doing body kicks and whatnot. Gassed out, got beat up. Matt Brown just, you know, does what Matt Brown does against Erick Silva and won there. I don't know if Josh Koscheck really has that skill set to capitalize on Erick Silva's like mental gaps, I guess, or like lack of cardio at this point. And you know, you gotta always watch out for the first round against Erick Silva. So nonetheless, Erick Silva for the win here. Next fight after that, Leonardo Santos fights Tony Martin. Leonardo Santos has a 13-3 record with 1 draw, 1 win by KO, 8 wins by sub. He's 35 years old, training out of Novo União. He is an Ultimate Fighter winner, a legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt with a strong arm triangle. Good top control. His stand-up is improving. His cardio isn't very good. You can see his last fight against, I don't remember his last fight. Was it against Escudero? I remember when he fought Escudero, though, he had a really bad weight cut. It's a Novo União thing, too, you know, to have that really, they don't always have the best weight cuts. It's not just like Renan Barão, too, you know, Aldo's reportedly always had tough weight cuts. Claudia Gadelha, you know, but you can tell that with Santos, his cardio, doesn't always hold up in the, you know, late round 2 and round 3. Tony Martin, 9-2 record, 7 wins by sub, 2 wins by decision, 25 years old, training out of ATT. He is also taking this fight on short notice. He has good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, tapped out his last opponent by a very aggressive Kimura, actually. Stand-up's actually improving, but his cardio is a bit questionable as well. This one's tough to say because, you know, Tony Martin's a guy, he's younger, that's stands out, and he is improving. The problem with Martin is that you saw him as like the Beneil Dariush fight. He did pretty well against Dariush, and then he got taken down and he got arm triangled. So I'm kind of worried here because it's like, well, I know Leonardo Santos, if he gets the fight to the ground and he gets in top position, he can get that arm triangle on Tony Martin. You know? You know, he also lost to, was that Rashid Magomedov? Who else did he lose to? Was it Magomedov? I want to say it's Magomedov. I'm not too sure now. But, you know, Leonardo Santos, like I said, his cardio's not that great, as well. I don't know if he has the best wrestling. You know, I don't know if he's that good at being able to take the fight to the ground. It depends on if Martin just wears down, you know, in this fight. So it's actually tough for me to say. I want to say that at the very least with Santos, he's the more consistent fighter. Should probably go with him there. Well, I'm gonna roll with Tony Martin here, just being on a younger fighter. I do like what I see as far as his improvement in the stand-up. At the very least, his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is good. He should hopefully be able to handle himself on the ground. So Tony Martin for the win here. Tough for me to call. Next fight after that, Shayna, the Queen of Spades. Baszler fights Amanda Lioness Nunes. Nunes has a 9-4 record, 8 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. She also has 2 losses by TKO, 29 years old. She's a finisher. Last I heard, she's training out at ATT. I know she trained out of like MMA Masters as well. All Florida camps, you know. She's a strong boxer with heavy hands. Her grappling's actually improving. She has a pretty decent body lock takedown. Super aggressive. Where her cardio is notoriously pretty weak. You see that in like a lot of fights actually. Her Cat Zingano fight, for example, starts really strong and fades really fast. Baszler, 15-9 record, 14 wins by sub, 1 win by decision. She also has 4 losses by KO or TKO, 3 losses by sub. 34 years old on a 2-fight losing streak. Most recently losing to Betch Kohea in her last fight. Trains on a CSW with the likes of Josh Barnett, and she is one of the 4 horsewomen. She only won 1 of her last 4 fights. At her best, she's a strong wrestler, or a good wrestler with really strong top control. She has that real suffocating style of top control that Josh Barnett utilizes. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is actually really strong. She's a veteran. Her stand-up is actually below average in my opinion. She's kind of slow. Her cardio also is pretty weak. And I feel she's just a fighter that's kind of on the decline at this point. With that said, both of them don't have great cardio. Nunes is the younger fighter, much better in the stand-up. I don't know if she can handle Nunes' blitzes also. Shayna Baszler does have the path of victory of just taking down Nunes. I remember there was an Invicta fight with Nunes against a fighter whose name totally escapes me at the moment. Delelio. She fought Delelio, right? Common opponent in Sarah Delelio, actually. So this is where it gives me cause for concern. So Delelio manages to just take down Nunes and grind away for victory. Baszler managed to take down Delelio. Really made life miserable for her when Baszler was on top and managed to get the rear naked choke. So that, you know, Baszler has that method of winning of takedown, top control, maybe even getting the sub. But nonetheless, I'll go with Amanda Nunes for the win. I think at the very least she's, like I said, younger, heavier handed. Nunes just has to watch out for that wrestling though. And the final fight on the main card, we have Andre Touchy Fili versus Godofredo Pepey Castro. Oh, Pepey has an 11-3 record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 6 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO, 27 years old on a 2-fight win streak. Trains out of Avalucao, Thai with like Francisco Trinaldo. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's really strong off his back. Has a good like triangle choke and whatnot. Stand-up's average, but he'll go for things. I mean, knocked out Noad Lahat by flying knee. One thing about Castro, though, is he is susceptible to ground and pound. Watch the Sam Cecilia fight or the Felipe Arantz fight. He loses both of those fights by ground and pound. Andre Fili, 14-2 record, 7 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He's 24 years old, training out of Team Alpha Male. He's got some good stand-up. His wrestling's not too bad either. The main thing is about Fili, though, he's really aggressive. He's always pushing forward. But he does get pretty reckless, though. Against Castro, both these guys can actually be pretty reckless. So that should be pretty interesting. Nonetheless, I'm going to go with Fili for the win here. Like I said, I'm not too high on the fact that Castro leaves himself pretty open when he is put on his back. In a stand-up, both are pretty reckless. Both will actually go for some pretty crazy things. But sad to say, in one sense, they're kind of similar. They do have a common opponent in Felipe Ranch. Ranch beat Castro by ground and pound. Fili beat Ranch. And it's kind of MMA math in a sense. I shouldn't be using MMA math, but their methods of fighting, the same opponent were very different. Like I said, with Fili, trains at a good camp too with Alpha Male. If he wants to take the fight to the ground, he could. He's got to watch out for the subs from Castro. Hopefully he can hit some good ground and pound on Castro as well. So Andre Touchy-Feely for the win there. Down to Fox Sports 1 prelims. Akbarh Arreola fights Francisco Masaranduba Trinaldo. Arreola 23-8 record with 1 draw, 5 wins by KO TKO, 17 wins by sub. Has those 5 losses by KO TKO, 32 years old. He's got some good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills, most recently submitting Eve Edwards by an armbar. By dropping him first, I believe with an uppercut. I'd say his stand-up's a bit average, though. I wouldn't say it's great. I don't know. It's not too bad, though. Trinaldo, 15-4 record, 5 wins by KO TKO, 5 wins by sub. Has his 2 losses by submission, 36 years old. Trading wins and losses. Trains at LU Cow Thai with Godofredo Pepey. He is big for 155. If 170 has those workman-like fighters, 155 has these like huge hulking like Brazilian fighters. Gleison Tebow. That one guy Kevin Lee fought. I think it's Tractor. I forgot his name now. Oh, Prazeres. Francisco Trinaldo. Adriana Martins, huge for the weight class. There's another guy too, and I told Elias Silverio, huge for the weight class. They got these like hulking Brazilians, and Buscape, Leonardo, Buscape, Silva, huge for the weight class. A lot of these hulking Brazilian guys. A lot of them are actually, except for Adriano Martins, are mainly like these hulking Brazilian top control, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, So with that said, yeah, Trinaldo has some good, strong Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills. His stand-up's not too bad either. I gotta go Francisco Trinaldo for the win here. He's a guy that uses his size to take fights to the ground, if need be. Stand-up's not too bad. So his cardio's not that great though, but nonetheless, Francisco Trinaldo for the win there. Next fight after that, Katsunori Kikuno fights Edamosan Kevin Souza. Souza has a 15-3 record, 13 wins by KO TKO, 1 win by sub. Has his 3 losses by submission, 30 years old. He's pretty tall and lanky for the weight class. He's 6 foot. He has good stand-up. I say that in a weird way because a lot of times he only shows 2 strikes. I think he's southpaw. I'm not too sure. I think he's southpaw. If he's not, nonetheless, he has a lead hook and a cross, and those are like the 2 strikes he throws a lot of times. And he just mixes those 2 strikes up. Even Marcadivo is managing to land really good left hook counters on Souza, surprisingly. And Souza's not that great off his back. Takedown defense isn't too bad though. Kikuno, 22-6 record with 2 draws. 11 wins by KO TKO, 3 wins by sub. He's 33 years old. He's going to be the shorter fighter at 5'8". He has a karate style stand-up. Really good kicks. He has this hands-down style. He doesn't throw into crescent kicks that he's known for. He actually finished Sam Cecilia. Beat him up into stand-up there too. His grappling's not too bad either. It's just average. It's not great, but it's not bad either. With that said, I remember that Kikuno, I believe he lost to what, Tony Ferguson? I think Souza can kind of actually just implement that game. Doing range striking, avoiding takedowns. And I think Kikuno might have a hard time hitting Souza as well. So I'm going to go with Edelmos and Souza for the win there. I think that he can get his range striking game going on. Next fight after that, Drew Dober fights Leandro Buscape Silva. Or is it Buscape? I don't know. I always say Buscape. Buscape has a 17-2 record with 1 draw, 1 win by TKO, 10 wins by sub. He's 29 years old, big for 155. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt with good back control. His offensive takedown ability is good. Stand-up's pretty average. Drew Dober, 15-6 record, 2 wins by KO TKO, 9 wins by sub. 26 years old. He's got some solid stand-up. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu's not too bad either. Most recently beat Jamie Varner. I can't say I'm terribly impressed with Dober. There's nothing about his skill set that really impresses me. He's not bad at any one aspect of MMA, but I wouldn't say he's particularly great at any one aspect of MMA either. Buscape, he's stand-up needs some work. He's big for the weight class. He can, at the very least, get the fight to the ground, use his size. I'm going to go with Leandro Buscape Silva for the win here. I think he can use his size to maybe take the fight to the ground and use his superior grappling ability for the win there. Not super confident in this pick because I'm not terribly impressed with Buscape, to be honest with you, and I might actually be underestimating Drew Dober. So, yeah, with that said, Buscape Silva for the win there. Next up, that Cain Carrizosa fights Leonardo Mafra Teixeira. Carrizosa has a 6-1 record, 2 wins by KO TKO, 2 wins by sub, 28 years old. He's got some good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills. Stand-up's not, it's just decent. I wouldn't say it's bad. I wouldn't say it's that great or anything like that. Last time I saw him fight, he lost to Chris Wade by guillotine in a minute. Managed to watch another fight of his where he won by armbar. Leonardo Mafra Teixeira, 11-2 record, 8 wins by KO TKO, 1 win by sub, 25 years old, trains out of Shuto Box. He's got some good stand-up, real heavy-handed, super aggressive. His grappling, though, is relatively weak. He should be pretty big for the weight class, though. I mean, this guy fought as high as, 185 against Thiago Perpetuo. He lost that fight. Got cut from the UFC, won 4 straight by a knockout. Went back to the UFC and fought Rick Story at 170. I forgot if this fight's at 170 or 155. Actually, I think it's 170, so I'm actually wrong here. Nonetheless, I'm going to go with Teixeira here. I mean, he does have some question marks when it comes to his grappling. It's not the best. But he definitely has shoot-to-boxer style. Good knees as well. Just heavy-handed guy. Super aggressive fighter. So Leonardo Mafra Teixeira for the win there. Okay, on the Fight Pass prelims, we have Jorge Blade de Oliveira versus Christos Giagos. Well, Blade, as I'll call him, has a 7-1 record. 5 wins by KO TKO, 2 wins by sub. 35 years old. Training out of Reno-Vacal with the likes of Luis Nogueira, among others. He is a finisher. His stand-up's good. He's heavy-handed. His grappling's not that great. Last I saw him fight, I wasn't it Diego Lima, and he just got taken down a bunch of times. He was doing good in the stand-up, but then he got taken down. I think he took the fight on short notice, so managed to survive though and get. He didn't get finished. Christos Giagos, 10-3 record, 6 wins by KO TKO, 2 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by submission. 25 years old. I remember the thing that really showed up about Christos Giagos here is when he got that flying knee victory over Dakota Cochran. He's a good wrestler, solid stand-up. I mean, he fought his first fight in the UFC was against Gilbert Burns, who admittedly, in my opinion, is a blue chip prospect. I think Giagos is actually a pretty good prospect himself. Like I said, solid wrestler, not bad in the stand-up. You know, he's got to watch out for the stand-up ability of Blade de Oliveira, but nonetheless, I'm going to go with Christos Giagos for the win there. And finally, Fredy Serrano fights Bentley Seiler. Well, Serrano has a 1-0 undefeated record. He's 35 years old, and one win is... Shayna doesn't even say, it says other. He's 35 years old. It'll be his first fight in the UFC. He's from Colombia. I say that because in Ultimate Fighter Latin America, the guys from Latin America, you can tell, were pretty behind the guys in Mexico as far as like training and whatnot, and just their overall skill set. From what I saw from Serrano, the only fight I managed to see is his one fight in the Ultimate Fighter. Showed some good offensive takedown ability. His striking was relatively sloppy though. Bentley Seiler did not fare well in the Ultimate Fighter Latin America as well. He got knocked out in the first round, or TKO'd in the first round. His official record though, he's 5-0 undefeated. 2 wins by KO TKO, 2 wins by sub, 32 years old. He's actually from Bolivia, but he trains out of an American top team. That'll be his first fight in the UFC. I watched another one of his fights. His stand-up didn't look too bad. He managed to get on top and showed some pretty decent ground and pound. I'll go with the younger guy with more experience than Bentley Seiler for the win here. Okay, to recap, the main card, Ryan LaFlare over Demian Maia, Gilbert Burns over Alex Oliveira, Erick Silva beating Josh Koscheck, Tony Martin over Leonardo Santos, Amanda Nunes over Shayna Baszler, and Fili beating Godofredo Castro. On the Fox Sports 1 prelims, Francisco Trinaldo over Akbarh Arreola, Edelmilson Souza beating Katsunori Kikuno, Leandro Silva beating Drew Dober, and Leonardo Mafra Teixeira over Cain Carrizosa. On the Fight Pass prelims, Christos Giagos beating Jorge de Oliveira, and Bentley Seiler over Fredy Serrano. So that's it for my predictions for UFC Fight Night 62, Maia versus LaFlare. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.